Welcome back to day 16 of the 30-day coding challenge. Today, we're going to be building this e-commerce product page using Redux. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor that loves teaching folks how to code. If you're interested in learning how to code or becoming a front-end web developer, check out the bootcamp that I have linked at the top of the description below. But without further ado, let's hop into today's challenge. All right, so yeah, as you can see, you might recognize this design from another front-end mentor design. It's basically this design here, but I've pared it down a little bit so we can really just focus on implementing the Redux side of things. But yeah, if you do want to follow along and maybe even build it out more full spec, definitely head over to the design. I'll link it down in the description below. But sorry, what we're trying to do here really is just use Redux to implement the add to cart functionality and then be able to increase and decrease the number of items in the cart. So let's go ahead and build this out. So I've gone ahead and installed React Redux and Redux Toolkit. So that's the first step before we even get started, and then spin up your app and we can get started. We're using this starter app, which doesn't have Redux installed, so you'll have to install it on top of that, but I'll link it below as well if you do want to kind of start from a similar place. All right, so this is the app all spun up, nothing started yet, so let's go ahead and just modify a few of the styles. And as I said, we're not as focused on making the most dramatically stylistic piece. We're more focused today on getting Redux installed and implemented properly. Okay, so first things first, I have also imported any of the images or logos that are included with the starter kit from Frontend Mentor. So we'll use those for the pieces that we need it. So for instance, we have the logo here, so I'll go ahead and drop that in the home page. So we'll say image from Next.image, and source is going to be this logo right here, and then alt will be logo, and then we can grab the size 20 by 137. So height be about 20, width be about 137. Cool. So that's the first piece there. Let's see if it shows up. All right, awesome. So that part is working. Good to go. Take out this home. It also looks like there's a bit of a container here, so I'm actually going to transform this box into a container and import that. And then we'll set the max width to maybe large. Cool, that looks pretty good. The other thing we're going to need here is this add to cart button. So we'll say button, and then we're just going to put the image inside of it. And I'll also make sure to import button. And the image is going to be probably this. Guessing 20 by 20. Okay. Cool. Looks pretty good. And this is basically going to be our nav. So I'm going to actually wrap these in a box. Oh, sorry, I need to re-import box. Cool, and that's looking pretty decent. I think the only thing I want to do now as far as style with this is add some margin. So we'll say margin, let's say 3 rem top and bottom. Cool. And then let's work on this. We have two more pieces, this hero section and the actual card itself. So in the hero section, what we need to do, and actually what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and move all of this into a nav just so that we can clean it up, because it is going to get a little bit complicated with the number of files that we're going to have, especially with Redux. So I'm just going to say new file, nav.tsx, and then we'll take all of this and drop that here. And I know I'm going to be using state in this, so I'll use client for that. Cool. Yeah, just clean that page up a little bit so things aren't so all over the place. All right, next bit we're going to have, it's not even really our hero, to be honest. It's more like the product. So we'll say product. And this is also going to end up being a client component, unless we do the add to cart separately. But again, I'm thinking a lot of this might be client-side components. All right, so we're going to have sort of two sides. So one is going to be the image, and it's going to be, I think image product 1 is probably what we're looking for. Height 48. And we should also put it on the page so we can see it. Cool, first piece there. So we'll have our product. Do that. And then we'll have our, the like second section, that's the right side. That'll be all of our text. Like that. All right, so we have this first typography element, sneaker company. Good. The color is going to be this. Okay, cool. Next element is going to be limited edition sneakers, I believe that says. Okay, and then we'll have the body, which is going to be regular size, but has this color. Oops. And then, oh yeah, we have the price. Now, I think I want to get to a point where I start, let's think about this. Because I don't want to declare the data twice. I think maybe what we should do is have the data for the sneakers live somewhere, and then we pull it in for each of these. So I think actually that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to whip up a quick data object. I'll say export const product equals title, and then I'm going to actually just use this. And it doesn't need all of the information, but at least the price, which is 125, the price and the title. And you'll see why this makes sense in a little bit. 125. So yeah, we'll use that. So I'll say import product from data, and then we'll say this will be the title. If I was doing this as a site with multiple products, I would put in all of this data. But this is more just for simplification purposes. So say product dot price, whoops, dot price. And that'll be the price, bold 28, and this color. Oh, that's also this color. All right, so we'll say cool. And then these two pieces also. We don't really need that or this for, these are more just stylistic. And then we have our toggle here, is actually quite important. So we have the product, and then I think I'm gonna make another component. We'll say new file, toggle. Yeah. And we'll use a box. And the toggle is going to have 2 buttons and a number. All right, so we'll say button is a minus. We have button, that's a plus. And then in the middle we'll have a typography element that has const count equals 0. And that'll be the count. Something like that. We'll fix it up as we go along. We'll do some basic stylings with these. I think this is probably the background color. Oops. That's the actual color is going to be this orange. Whoops. I think it's this orange. And then that'll be the color for the typography element. And we should actually put it onto the product page. So that'll go here, toggle. Cool. And display flex. Oops. Okay, cool, cool, cool. I guess line items in the center. And give these the same background color. As you can see, I probably could have made an element called toggle button, but I did not. Okay, and then we'll limit the width. Or actually, let's make the add to cart button as well. So we'll have our toggle, and then we have our other button. It's going to be add to cart. And we'll have our little cart icons. We'll say image. And the source is going to be that same cart icon. Icon, height, I believe it's 20 by 20, width, cool, and that'll be our add to cart. Background color is going to be this. No, let's do button. Import the button. Okay, and then color. Cool. And then we'll say cool. Looks pretty good. I'm going to wrap these two in a box so they appear on the same line. A flex box, that is. Good. Yeah, and that's the basics of that piece. All right, so let's do a little bit with the styling here and then move on. Let's give this a max width. Oops. Okay, looks good. And then we'll say display flex. Direction is going to be column. And then we're going to do the same thing, justify content space between. Cool, that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that, just in terms of like basic page, basic stylings. You know, we want to do what we want to do with it now. Oh no, that's not right. Okay, cool. So yeah, let's make the cart element because we do need that. And then we can start passing around our data and setting up our Redux. So we'll say new file, last one, tsx. And the cart is going to be pretty straightforward. Zoom in a little bit here. It's going to be a box with a box shadow. 044. I think it's GBA. Oh, sorry. 0, 4 pixels, 4 pixels. No, 0, 4 pixels, 4 pixels. RGBA 0, 0, 0. 0.25, I believe. So that'll be the box. Our max width, sorry, should be 360. All right, and then it's going to be a typography element that says cart. And again, it's probably going to be a client component because again, we're focusing on using state in this project. And then there's a bit of a horizontal rule here. Oops, horizontal rule. And then we're going to have that data. So it's going to be an image. And the source is going to be const image source. Alt will be product thumbnail. Height probably 20, width also probably 20. So it'll be that. I'm gonna wrap this in a box. And then it's gonna be the const title. It's gonna be the whatever the title of the product is. So we'll say title. So fall limited edition speakers. And then it's going to be the price, the number of items, and then the total price. So let's break that down. So it's going to be price price and we can do it like this: price X and then total. I should do the total price. Okay, price times number of items, and then we'll say total price. Put dollar signs there. All right, cool. So that should be that. And then at the bottom, we'll have a big checkout button. The color is going to be, yeah, this. Oh, and also for this pool. And the background color is going to be this. Good. Oops. This will be 100%. What else? We need some padding here all around the element, which will be 1.5 rem. Whoops, how did that get there? 1.5 rem. And yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, so we'll start with that, and then we can add in other functionality as we get to it. Let's make sure our nav looks, let's make sure our cart looks okay. So we'll say, we'll just do a quick use state. So const show cart, set show cart, say use state false. And then we'll say on click, set show cart to be the opposite of show cart. And then if show cart is true, we want to show the cart. All right. There we go. All right, so I just need to do a couple more styles on this so it doesn't look so crazy. Let's see, it's gonna be right, maybe 10, top 10, we'll start with that. Okay, right 50, top 50, right 75, top 75. Good. And then we'll give it a background color. Whoops, color. Just so that, yeah, so it goes over that. Yeah, and that looks pretty good. So in terms of base styles, I think we're pretty set there. Cool. Now let's install Redux. So, as I said, I've gone ahead and installed Redux Toolkit, and I've gone ahead and installed React Redux, which you need to get Redux Toolkit to work. So that's taken care of. The next thing we want to do is actually set up our project. So I'm using the tutorial TypeScript Quick Start as a base, just to make things a little bit easier. But yeah, you can just follow along and do it as we do it here. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to create a new folder called Store. And within the store, I'm going to create a new file and paste that in there. I'm also going to create another folder called hooks because we're going to use typed hooks. And that is basically just giving giving types to the hooks that we're using. All right, cool. The next thing I want to do is now create my slice. So the slices are the parts that are actually going to hold the state and things like that. So I'll create a new file, say cart slice, because I think I'm just going to need the one slice for this. And I'm going to borrow what they have in their counter slice, but we're going to modify it and make it work for us. So we'll drop that in there. And we'll import it as a reducer. We'll say cart slice, and we're going to say import cart slice from cart slice from that, and we're going to change it so it is cart slice cart basically everywhere it says counter, we're going to have to say cart. Cart and state.cart.value is of type unknown. Cart. Why is it not like that? If this was counter, would it be happy? No, it's just not happy that it's cart. Let's see. I might have changed one thing too many. Go back a little bit and see where it started complaining. It's important that we get the setup correct, otherwise we'll have a lot of problems later. So say import cart reducer from okay, so it's okay with that. We're just going to change all of this. Is going to be dot slash. Okay, it's good. It's good with that. Post counter state. Which makes sense. Say card state. It's still good. Cart. Okay, it's still good. If I change this to cart now, what happens? Post cart state. If I say cart. Okay, that might have just been a weird error. Or I'm completely missing something. But okay, so we have our cart slice. What else do we need to do? We need to wrap our app in a provider. Otherwise, it's not going to show up. So we're going to go to our layout.tsx file. We're going to import provider from React Redux. Wrap it around our app. And then we're going to set the store. It requires to be connected, needs to be connected to the store. And the store is just going to be imported from our store that we just created. So we have that. That's hooked up. I think, what else do we need to do here? I think that might be it in terms of initial setup. So if you go back to the page, things should just, sorry. It's going to give us an error about this metadata. So we'll remove the metadata and turn this into a client component. And that's just a Next.js specific thing. All right, refresh. Cool, looking good so far. Still getting the cart, perfect. Everything's working as expected. The next thing we want to do now is actually to develop our cart slice and basically show like, okay, we want to add to cart, we want to remove from cart, or, you know, increase number of this, etc., etc. So what we're going to do for this is we are going to, let's see, first things first, we want to be able to add to cart and increase the value of the number of items in the cart. So I guess we want in our cart slice, we want our cart to be, we want our cart count possibly to be a number. Cart count to be a number. And then, what should we do? Let's say cart item to be cart item to be an object with a title, title, that's a string, and a price, that's a number, that's a number. And to start with, the title will be nothing, and the number, price will be 0. And that should be everything we need in order to get this going. So then we could actually kind of use some of this. Let's see if it works. Because what I want to do is I want to increase the cart count every time the plus button is pressed, and then decrease the cart count every time the minus button is pressed. And then on top of that, I want to add items to the cart and possibly clear the cart and remove items from the cart. So those are the two things we kind of want to do right now. So let's see if, let's define an object that's, or reducer, sorry. We'll say add to cart. It's going to take in the state and state.cart item equals action dot payload action.payload. And I should just repurpose this. Cart item equals action what did it say? Its number is not. Maybe I can make cart count a number within here. Just change it to count. Count 0. Count 0. Dot push. Let's try that. Action not payload. Oh, I know. Equals. Back to equals. All right, sorry, it was just a TypeScript error. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that didn't need to be as complicated as it was. I'm wondering now if I should go back and try the count. Let's see if it works, and if it doesn't work, we can update the count. So the first thing I want to do is I want to hook up my toggle to see if that's working. So I'm going to say, instead of count equals 0, it's going to be count equals use app selector. And we'll say, it already had the one selector hooked up for us, so we can use that. And it's going to be, we also need to pass out an add to cart. It's going to be select count. So we'll say select count. And that's going to be from our cart slice. And I think it's actually the correct syntax is state dot cart. Actually, yeah, no, we don't need to do that. State dot cart item dot count. Sorry, we're not going to use the select count because I want to grab it like that. All right, so we have the count, and that is going to be our count. So in theory, the count should still be 0, which is not unexpected because that's what we've initialized it to be. Or sorry, the count down here for our toggle should still be 0, which is actually good. The next thing we want to do is hook up the button. We'll say on click, and we need to use dispatch. So let's say const dispatch. This is how we hook into our hook. We'll say our dispatch hook. We'll say use app dispatch. We'll call that. And then we'll say on click, we want to go ahead and dispatch. And there were those two actions, those two reducers that we created. We want to say dispatch decrement for the subtract. So we'll import that. So we'll dispatch decrement. Oopsies. And on click for the plus button, we want to do the same thing, but increment, I believe, if we have them named correctly. Cool. So in theory, when I hit plus, great, it's adding, and when I hit minus, it's subtracting. Awesome. So that's good. So the toggle's working, hooked to Redux, good to go. The next bit we want to do is the actual cart itself. And this is where I'm wondering if I should probably separate the two, because I think it's going to get a little bit confusing. Yeah, let me go back and separate them really quickly, because I think otherwise this is going to become a little bit difficult. I think it's going to overwrite. Well, I guess maybe we do want it to overwrite the count. So let's go with it. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. All right, so now for the cart, not for the cart, sorry, for the product, the add to cart button. So for this button, now we want to add an on click that does the same thing. On click, we want to, I'm going to have to import our dispatch again because this is a different component. So const dispatch equals use app dispatch. And then we'll say on click, we want it to dispatch add to cart, and it's going to add to cart the product. So we'll say product, and how will we know how many? I think we're gonna have to work with the state a little bit more. So I say const product count equals use app selector, and we'll say state cart item dot count is going to be our product count, and then we're going to say we're going to pass product comma count is product count, so that way we have a count that is associated with our toggle for our product count. I think that's how we want to do it. And then the last bit we're going to need to do now is actually grab our stuff and put it into our cart. So we'll say const, I'm going to say const cart equals use app selector. I'm going to say, again, state. I'm going to say state dot cart item. We'll call it cart item. And then we'll say for the title, it's going to be cart item dot title. For the price, or actually, let's spread it out here. So we'll say const title price count equals cart item. So we'll do that. So we'll get rid of these two. Oh, and I forgot the image source. That's actually very important. So I need to add that to our data. Sorry about that. Or you know what? Because we know that this is sort of like what we're going to be working with, we'll just give it the default image source for now. But you would want to pass that in. Icon, card, image, thumbnail, probably this. Okay, good. And then instead of number of items, it's going to say count. But actually, we don't need to set that there. And then we'll say total price here. So these are what we're working with. And then, yeah, instead of modifying all of these, I can just change this back to be title. So we've grabbed all of those details. I think we should be good. So if we've hooked it up correctly, there should be nothing in the cart. Oops, nope, that's not going to work. Oh, sorry, just a little error. Missed a slash. All right. Okay, so the image is there already, which is fine. But if we've hooked it up correctly, when I hit plus, I think it should go up to 3. So it's 3 but no item, which is not ideal. But when I hit add to cart, we have our fall limited edition sneakers, $125 times 3 items, $375. So yeah, basically we've been able to connect the toggle button here and the add to cart functionality, which grabs all of this product information and send it to the cart using Redux. So we're doing that by, and then grabbing all of that information from Redux using our selector and displaying it on our page here. Again, this is using the cart slice. We actually didn't need to go back and do these cart counts again, although you could separate those. The reason I was thinking about separating them is because it might overwrite it when we submit the cart item, but then we would want it to do that. But at the same time, we want the count to be associated with the cart item. Like, we don't want to be able to increase the count. So that's something to play around with when you're doing this. But yeah, we were basically able to use the sort of boilerplate that we get from Redux in order to build this. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you want to see the rest of the videos in this series, I'll leave a link to the playlist up here so you can check those out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.